All right, what's going on, you guys? For those of you who don't know me, my name's Ryan Phipps, and I have a very special video lined up for you guys today. What I'm going to be talking about is how to get shredded for summer, or more specifically, how to lose fat and retain muscle in time for this upcoming summer. So let's dive in. And to start with today, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself, right? So my name's Ryan Phipps. It's my mission to help driven people become the fittest version of themselves mentally and physically. I got into fitness because growing up, my mom battled a lot of health issues and I watched that growing up. So this metaphorical bucket of meaning was created. I always grew up knowing the value of health for as long as I can remember. I've just known what a life could look like with it and without it. And my passion for exercise specifically came from playing soccer. I am a very all or nothing type of person. When I was younger, I was all in, like 210% in on soccer. So when I stopped playing soccer, I was fortunate enough to combine the both of those things, right? I got a job as a personal trainer and I really enjoyed getting to help people get healthy, right? That filled that bucket of meaning for health and just, getting to help people live longer, happier, healthier lives. And it also filled that bucket that I had that soccer left just through exercise and getting to combine the two and help people in that way. After working as a personal trainer for about 3 years, I decided to start my own business so I could help more people see even better results. Now, I'm going to give you guys the most in-depth blueprint to getting in shape for summer today. But to start with, I want to tell you guys a little bit of a story. So I want to tell you a story of when I actually decided to gain fat on purpose, and stay with me. I know that might sound a little bit crazy, but the reason that I did this was because I understood how to lose fat on paper, but I'd never done it before myself. I wanted to learn through experience for my clients, right? I was talking to a lot of people, and this isn't just a journey of food and workouts, right? This is also an emotional journey getting in shape. So I wanted to know what those emotions were, what the feelings were of being overweight. So I put my body through this experiment, right? So I gained fat on purpose, went from this to this. And just so you guys know too, I didn't stop working out, right? I was actually training pretty much the exact same here. Really what changed is I just let my diet get a lot worse to achieve this transformation, if we want to say that. The result was I'd lost most of the fat I'd gained in about 6 months. I didn't cut out my carbs. I didn't, completely cut out any foods that I enjoyed or anything like that. But I did learn how to lose fat and keep it off. And that's exactly what I'm going to be teaching you guys here today. Now, you might be wondering or thinking, okay, that's great for you. Clearly, you're somebody who, is emotionally attached to exercise and health. So that's good for you. You're a health nut. And while that is true, this doesn't just work for me. Now, I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about what I do, but I think it's going to be easier to actually just show you. So I want you to meet one of my clients. His name is Jay. Jay joined the program because he didn't know how to eat for his goals. He didn't know what workouts to do to reach his goals. And he said that he joined because he wanted a system that would help him lose weight so he could keep up with his kids as he aged, right? After going through the program, Jay's lost over 45 pounds, and he now has a system that's built for a busy entrepreneur, right? He's a busy father of four. He's an entrepreneur who runs his own investment firm. And after going through the program, this is one of the best wins that he shared with me as well. He's really leading his family by being a health role model. And he said that his wife literally pulled him to the side and just thanked him for leading the health charge in their family. I don't know about you guys, but obviously a great feeling right there. So that was Jay's transformation. And I want to introduce you guys to Jack as well. I want to introduce you to him as well. Jack joined the program because he just said he felt like he owed this to himself, right? He wasn't confident in what he was doing in the gym or in the kitchen, and he joined because he was looking for a custom system that he knew would get him to his goals. After going through the program, Jack lost over 30 pounds. He mastered his nutrition and overcame his gym anxiety. That's one of my favorite stories from Jack's transformation. Was when we first started, he was nervous to even go into the weight section. After, he was sending me videos and pictures with his mom and his friends. He was teaching his mom and his friends how to lift, how to live, happier, healthier, longer lives. And because of this transformation, Jack actually got the confidence to start his own real estate business after this, right, guys? This is so much more than just a physical transformation, as we will learn here today. And I also want to introduce you guys to Jake. So Jake, a busy 27-year-old building his career. So Jake joined because he was working long days at the cost of his health. He joined because he just said he didn't know what to do with his diet, and he was looking to build healthy habits outside of work, specifically in the form of drinking less. As we can see from the screenshot right here, Jake lost over 20 pounds and built muscle. And this is also a fun screenshot right here too that he sent me. It is a time card from him working almost 90-hour weeks, right? So this system will work for any busy person, right? He's still working over 80 hours a week, but he's doing so while reaching his fitness goals. And he's doing so while following a sustainable dieting approach that he actually understands, right? That's why he's able to maintain his levels of fitness after going through the program. And he now has a healthy relationship with alcohol as well. And finally, I want to introduce you guys to Josh. So Josh joined the program because he'd been stuck for over 3 years on his fitness journey, just stuck in the cycle of starting, stopping, not seeing results, trying everything. He joined because he wanted to improve his relationship with food and learn what to eat for his goals, right? He wanted to change even though his schedule was slammed running his car detailing business. After going through the program, Josh lost over 30 pounds, as you can see right here. He knows exactly what to do with his diet and his workouts to see results, and he's still crushing his business while reaching his fitness goals now. So let's kind of dive in, guys. Really the main reason we're here is just this, the ultimate guide to losing fat for summer. And again, this is going to be purely driven by client case studies. So, none of this is theory. This is all something that's been applied to real people just like you guys. So let's dive in. I hope you can tell I'm so excited just to get to go over all this good stuff. So the first step is going to be a maintenance phase, right? So the first step in a fat loss journey, I'm going to break it down into 4 steps. So the first step is going to be a maintenance phase. In this phase, you're going to set your calories high enough to sustain you through a fat loss phase, right? This is also going to make you responsive to the deficit. So that's a ton of, technical talk. Really all that means the first half is most people make the mistake of, basically going from under eating to eating nothing. They think, okay, I want to lose weight. I'm just going to cut out basically everything. Definitely not going to eat any carbs. I'm just going to see how long I can starve, right? And that really doesn't work. You can't maintain that very long. The reason we do a maintenance phase and set people's calories higher is so that their food kind of budget is higher throughout the duration so they can actually stick to it, right? How much easier would it be to stick to your quote unquote diet or fat loss phase if you were just able to eat more food? That's to put that simply. The second half, to make your metabolism responsive, right? So basically, so it works. We're going to get your metabolism primed. We're going to do some inner work to your metabolism. So when we do enter that second phase, it's going to work, right? For many people, this is also a great time to create habits outside of the gym. Since starting a fat loss journey is going to require you to be structured, I put a lot of emphasis on this for my clients, right? So many of them either run a business, just are a busy person with kids, just building their careers, whatever it might be, right? We also have to pay attention to things outside of the gym, building routines, building habit stacks that are going to make this not feel like a 8-week sprint where we're going to lose 20 pounds or something like that, but a lifestyle that you're going to be able to maintain, right? We're going to just take a consultation of what your overall lifestyle looks like, not drop a bomb in the middle of that and blow it up and make it feel all crazy, but we're going to make it easy to stick to because we're also paying attention to those habits outside of there as well, right? And again, this is where a lot of people mess up because honestly, when a lot of people join my program and when I just consult a lot of people in terms of their fat loss goals, they're already under eating, right? That might be hard to hear, but most people are eating less than they should, and then they go from eating less than they should to that calorie deficit where they pull even more food. And it's no wonder why people can't stick to their diet because they're hungry, they're just not eating anything they enjoy. So, again, a lot of people mess that up. Most people have not even heard of the maintenance phase. They think, again, you just jump in, basically start starving yourself and spamming cardio. But clearly that doesn't work because I've never met anybody who can stick to that. But that approach, that bad approach creates a cycle of starting, stopping. You stick to it for a little bit as long as you can kind of just mentally will yourself to suffer that much. And again, it's not a discipline thing. It's just a systems thing. That usually leads to binging because you're not getting anything that you actually enjoy. So you stop, you feel guilty, and just repeat the process again every New Year's, every few months, whatever people's rhythms might actually be there. So again, the maintenance phase in action. So what this is going to look like is we're going to find and eat your maintenance calories for 4 to 6 weeks. Really, again, the goal there is to prime your metabolism. We're also going to focus on building success promoting routines and habit stacks that are going to serve as the foundation for your consistency. In Jay's specific case here, right, again, he's an entrepreneur. His schedule doesn't look like a normal 9 to 5. It's kind of all over the place sometimes. He has 4 kids, right? So he's running all over the place. What we found for him, something that was very beneficial for him in terms of building his specific habit stacks and just his routines and rhythms was going to be a mid-morning snack, right? Usually he found that he could make it through the morning pretty easily, but somewhere between, the busy, morning meetings and the lunch meetings, he'd kind of find himself getting hungry, blood sugar would dip a little bit. So just a good example of where for him specifically, getting him some food in there so he could maintain his energy levels and stick to his deficit throughout the next phase was something very important for him in his transformation where he lost over 45 pounds. So again, we're going to learn through practice how to accurately track calories and macros on the nutrition side. And this is completely beginner friendly. The nutrition side of everything that I teach people, completely beginner friendly, right? You could have no idea what a calorie is, no idea what a macro is, and you will master this system in 4 weeks or less, right? So those are just going to be the main points. Again, it's just going to be so you're responsive, so we have the habits in place, and so you understand all the systems that are going to equal success in the long run for you. Now, the next step, right? This step is the step that most people think the whole process is. Again, I'm breaking this down into 4 steps. Most people skip step 1, and most people think the whole thing is only step 2, this fat loss phase, right? So I don't know what those balloons are. We're just going to ignore those. Here, you're going to enter the calorie deficit, right? This is where you're going to keep your protein intake high to retain muscle, and we're also going to utilize refeeds and diet breaks as much as needed here, right? So again, we start with the maintenance phase, and then we cut food a little bit, right? This is where we're going to enter the calorie deficit. This is why when a lot of people say, just eat less, this is what they mean, right? We're also going to do a higher protein diet right here, and again, the goal for that is it's going to tell our bodies we want to keep muscle. We're going to utilize something called refeeds and diet breaks. Basically, all this means, just to put it super simply, is like if you get hungry, we can give you more food in a structured way so you don't start to feel bad. And so you can stick to it longer term and reach your long-term goal, right? Most people get this protocol wrong because they think that, I want to lose weight, so I'm just going to completely eliminate carbs from my diet to begin that deficit. But you don't want to do that because carbs are still going to be used as your body's preferred fuel source, even though we're trying to lose body fat, right? If you completely cut out carbs, you're going to experience cravings, low energy, and poor sleep. So please do not do that whatsoever, right? So tactically, here is what this fat loss phase looks like. And again, driven all by case studies here. So this was a maintenance phase that a client of mine went through. As you can see, weight should stay roughly the same here, right? And this is just so you know too, this is a screen grab from the technology that we have that tracks all of our clients' data. But as you can see, that first month, weight stayed roughly the same. Fluctuation is always normal and expected for everybody. So just kind of another side tangent thing here, since I want to make this as complete as I possibly can. Even if myself, who obviously coaches people to do this for a living, was to start this weight loss journey, my weight's still going to go up and down sometimes. It's just a completely normal thing. We're interested in the overall trend, right? So again, maintenance phase stayed roughly the same as you can see here. Which was the phase that we just went over. And then in the fat loss phase, we're going to subtract 300 to 500 calories from that maintenance number, right? So if my maintenance number is 3,000 and I subtract 500 there, it should say 2,500, right? So 3,000 minus 500 is 2,500 calories a day there. That would be my new target to start with for my deficit or my weight loss phase, right? So again, as you can see right here, this client, the second we put him into that, subtracted those calories, boom, the weight just started to quote unquote melt off. But again, we knew this would happen because we set him up to be responsive in this phase. We made that little, bit of a trigger there by subtracting the calories, and then boom, his weight started to go down, right? So for training here, lifting 3 to 5 times a week while doing low intensity steady state cardio is key. That's just a fancy way of saying basically don't go crazy running, do something like incline walking, walk outside, do something like the Stairmaster, ride the stationary bike. Just again, not as intense as people think. They think like, I want to lose all this weight, I'm just going to start running marathons and starving myself. Nope, you can take a walk. Lifting is going to be better for a number of reasons, or different for a number of reasons, right? One of the biggest reasons being when we're doing cardio is the only time we're burning calories. But if we have more muscle or build more muscle, we can actually burn calories at rest from weightlifting. So really good benefit right there. Not to mention, just honestly, the biggest reason is just most people want to look lean, right? They say that they want to lose weight, but what they really mean is they want to look lean, meaning they want to lose fat and keep muscle or build muscle. So weightlifting is just a different stimulus there. Tracking macros is going to be key here as well, right? All that means is just a structured way to track your food. It's going to be, for example, setting a protein goal. So instead of just, let's say I thought, okay, like I need to eat 4 meals of chicken and rice a day. That sucks. I can't stick to it. Instead, tracking macros would say, okay, I have a certain protein goal. Let's say my protein goal is 150 grams of protein a day. Through tracking macros, I'll figure out or learn how to, either have steak, chicken, beef, eggs, protein shake, Greek yogurt, whatever it might be. It's just more flexible, but still science-backed, still very trackable. Adjusting calories as needed. This is so important, right? All the data we collect from clients is so important in this process because progress doesn't just stop. So many people think, I lost the first 10 pounds and then, I don't really know what happened after that. It just stopped. Like it must be my metabolism. It must be my body. It must be this. That does not just happen, right? If we have the data, we know exactly what to change. For example, here again, right? Maintenance was 300 minus 500. If I'm eating at 2,500 calories to start my deficit, right? then what'll happen is something called metabolic adaptation, meaning my body is just going to get used to it. I don't need to drop my calories again, increase my activity. All of these things we track for clients, which is, again, is why this data is so important. But all that just to say, tracking this data is essential because progress doesn't just stop, right? If we're tracking it, if we have the structured approach, we know what to do to keep seeing results. So next phase, right? So again, just to kind of recap a little bit, the maintenance phase gets you ready. The fat loss phase is going to take you to your weight loss goal. And then this is actually what happens after your weight loss goal, right? Again, this is a 4-step process. Most people think step 2 is the whole thing, but this is so important, right? The reverse diet. Now, we do the reverse diet once you get to your goal. The goal with the reverse diet is to raise your calories to create basically to raise your calories to a sustainable level while maintaining the lean physique you just built, right? So one thing, and so many people have been through this, unfortunately, is they get to their weight loss goal, or maybe they're confident in how they look, and then they just stop dieting. They go back to what they were doing, they gain the weight back, and just think, like, this sucks, I don't know what to do, right? And that totally makes sense because they don't know about the reverse diet, right? So through the reverse diet, we add food back in, get you to a point where you're able to eat more food and keep the results that you just had, right? So in this phase, you're also going to be heavily focused on your internal health, right? We're going to decrease stress here. We're going to increase the food and prioritize recovery, right? If we're in a deficit for a while, giving our body less food by nature, we're just going to, recover not as well. You're just going to have some diet fatigue, all that type of stuff might, creep in as well. So the goal of this is also just to get you feeling good again, and help you not gain the weight back, simply put. And again, if done properly, you're going to end up in a state that I think is pretty ideal. You're going to be leaner and eating way more food, meaning you're just going to become one of those people who everyone thinks, oh, it's so easy for you. But no, going through this process, it just completely changes essentially your physiology. It changes your body composition, all that good stuff. So people just think it's easy for you, but now you just know what you're doing. So again, reverse dieting here specifically. Recap: maintenance phase here, weight loss phase there, and then this is the reverse diet, right? So we set them up here, we drop the calories to a certain point. For this client specifically, it was more so just we exhausted their ability to lower more food, right? So we kept lowering food until they just, didn't really have too much more that we could healthily pull, which said that it was time for the reverse diet as well. So, again, you're going to either reach your weight goal or just reach that point in the diet where you're just going to not be able to lower food anymore. That doesn't mean you have to quit. We just need to know what to do, right? Again, usually energy is going to be low here. Cravings and appetite will be pretty high. But what we do in the reverse diet is we slowly add more food back in to minimize fat regain. That's one approach. Or we can start with adding more food in. So like a medium to higher amount if the person is very hungry, their energy is very low, or they're already just very lean. Again, weight will stay roughly the same in this reverse dieting phase. As you can see with this client, tons of fluctuations and stuff going on, but it stayed roughly the same throughout this period. And then really, what this is going to bring you to is just a phase that you don't want to skip, or the whole, this whole process is going to be a waste. Obviously, it looks pretty simple here, but this could have been 6 to 8 months for a client right here, these first 2 phases, and then another 4 months right here in the reverse diet, or something like that. Obviously, you just it's really easy to look at this and think you can just skip to the quote unquote good part, but the reverse diet is so important for the internal health and just to make sure you don't waste all the progress that you saw there. So just to put it super simply, the reverse diet, you're just going to start eating more food again in a structured way so you don't gain the weight back and so you feel good again. So the next step is what happens after the reverse diet. So you can either maintain the physique you built, opt to grow lean muscle, kind of shift gears from losing weight to growing muscle, or you can just continue the weight loss phase, right? So now you're going to be either ready to maintain the lean physique, begin what's called a lean bulk, basically just a fancy way of saying building muscle without gaining fat, and just again, the goal of this is just to kind of set you up in a way that you can choose. Some people opt to continue the weight loss phase here if they feel like they have more weight to lose after that as well. But if this is set up properly, the next phase should feel way easier, right? And maybe not easier, but simpler would be a better word, right? Because you already know how to track, you've already been through everything. You won't have to do it as long because you just don't have as much body fat. Usually, when you start with a higher body fat, it's just going to prolong the process. But since you've already made it this far, the next phase should feel pretty simple, I guess, and relatively enjoyable, I think, as well, because this is when things get a little bit more fun. When you're lean and you're like, I wonder what I'd look like with a bit more muscle, but I digress. That's just me nerding out potentially. So again, at this point, you'll be able to maintain, grow, or continue the weight loss phase that you're in. Fancy word, calorie deficit. So You can continue the reverse diet until your calories are back at a maintainable level. This should be high in relation to kind of where you ended the deficit. So just to throw a random number out there, if you ended your calorie deficit at 2,100 calories, it's not like you're going to end the reverse diet at like 2,500. You should be closer to like 3,000. There should be a big difference there, just be if this is done right. And it's really just a fun process because, again, you're going to be left at a point where you're just eating more food and you're still lean. You kept the progress, right? So you're going to be primed to either build lean muscle or maintain the lean physique while eating more food. And again, if the individual feels like they have more weight to lose, they can reverse back to full health, lower hunger, reverse back to full health, and just kind of continue. Again, other things you'll kind of want to focus on here is just, again, through raising the food, you'll lower hunger. You want to take a little bit of a training break here too. So this could be, maybe a bit of what they call a deload. So either doing less volume, taking a week off the gym, just kind of giving your body a rest before entering back in. But just to kind of sum it all up with the example again. So my client went through the maintenance phase here where we got them ready. We built their habits. We got their metabolism primed. We subtracted those calories for the weight loss phase that, again, most people think the whole thing is this, but it's not. But this is, kind of the I wouldn't say the most important part, but the part that most people are interested in if they're interested in losing weight. It's obviously going to be the fat loss phase. So the fat loss phase there, bring you to your goal where you reverse diet, work on internal health, get yourself feeling good again, raise your calories back up. So even if you're not going to continue your weight loss phase like this client, even if you're just like, I'm chilling here, I feel good, I feel confident, I want to build some muscle, you're going to be able to do that a lot easier because we're going to work on bringing your metabolism back up. So again, let's just say you ended here at 2,100 calories. We're going to reverse you back to 3,000. And if you wanted to, you could maintain your abs on 3,000 calories a day. And, that's pretty easy to do. And, again, it just sets you up for your next goal. This client of mine decided to continue his weight loss journey here. But as you can see, those are the 4 steps that this is going to look like instead of just the one that most people think of just, I'm going to start trying to run marathons while starving myself. This is the overall process of just, what this looks like. Again, and just to kind of sum it all up for you guys, right? Just in a nice conclusion right here. So weight loss isn't just about cutting out all of your favorite foods while doing a ton of cardio. It's 4 structured phases. We have the maintenance phase where we're going to prime your metabolism and build habits and routines outside of the gym as well, right? We can also work on habits if you're working on your form, if you're working on getting consistent, again, that's a really good time to do that. And then we enter the fat loss phase. It's going to be the calorie deficit, or when people start to eat less, as they say. And we're really going to track data here to break through those plateaus because, again, I want you to understand weight loss doesn't just stop. Again, we have all the data there through our system to know what to change to make progress pretty linear, as you can see. Fluctuation is always going to be normal, but there really isn't much time here where we don't know what's going on. We just know what to change. Right, the reverse diet here, where we're going to add food back in a structured way to avoid weight regain, right? The worst thing we can do, and this happens to people all the time when they do, extreme diet or fat or trend or whatever, cut out this food, only eat this, whatever it might be, is they gain the weight back. So we do the reverse diet to avoid that and restore health markers, right? We're going to get you sleeping good again, feeling good again. You're not going to be hungry anymore. You're not going to be cranky, all that good stuff. And that's going to bring you to the point where you're going to be able to maintain, grow, or continue your weight loss. Just set your next goals and apply the correct approach, just like we did here, for whatever it is you're interested in next. For training, right, lifting 3 to 5 times a week while doing low intensity, steady state cardio should be your main form of exercise. To keep that simple, lifting 3 to 5 times per week is more important than, becoming a marathon runner. Doing some cardio is still key. I'm not saying that's bad whatsoever. I'm just saying it's not the primary form of exercise for the change you want to see if you're trying to look lean, which again is just having visible muscle and low amounts of body fat. And the cardio you should be focusing on is like incline treadmill walking outside, just like lower impact, less stressful types of that. Tracking macros is going to be the method that I recommend for my clients, and the reason is because we create food flexibility and it just makes it super easy to stick to your diet. All of my clients say this is one of the most valuable skills they get from the time that we have together in the program, because again, they just don't feel like they're dieting. They just know how to fit foods they enjoy into their quote unquote diet. Right? And I want you guys to know as well, progress is fun and it happens a lot faster when you have structure, the ability to track and see data, and accountability is going to be key for this transformation. So guys, if you want to learn this process through experience, just click the link down below to start your own journey of becoming your highest performing self while eating foods you love. Thank you guys for your time.